it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you very much for joining me today for Thank Yous on Thursday. First of all, I am going to apologise in advance. I live in South Oxfordshire, so we shouldn't be getting the storm Aileen, but it has just felt like we have been having it. About 5 minutes ago, I could hardly hear myself think in my studio here because the rain was so heavy. It was just, it sounded like hail, but it wasn't. It was just rain, and the wind is really high. So I do apologise if it comes back. However, this is today's project, and it's a little gift, and it's a coffee. It's actually vanilla coffee sachet that I thought was really cute. So this is using the Coffee Cafe stamp set and the Coffee Break patterned designer series paper from the annual catalogue. I've done a little bit of jiggery pokery in the back here to get the wood all the way down, but that's then covered up with this sort of band, heat band here. But all I did was literally stamp at the top, stamp at the bottom, and the bit in the middle I masked off with a bit of post-it notes so that the bit in the middle just overlapped rather than coming all the way up here. So very easy. However, this time, because happily we've got more cafe stamps in the autumn-winter catalogue, the Merry Cafe stamp set goes with the coffee cup framelits from the annual catalogue. So double dipping. You can use both stamp sets with the same framelits, which is just brilliant. Love it when things like that happen. So I thought I would do a more autumn themed version of this using the Merry Cafe and the coffee cup framelits. I'm going to use some of the Spooky Cat designer series paper. I'm going to actually use this side rather than this side, but obviously if you wanted to do it as a Halloween theme, there are Witch's Brew with Scream and Sugar as an option, but I'm going to use the Hello Fall, it's Pumpkin Spice Latte season, because vanilla it's about as near as I could get in a coffee sachet to pumpkin spice latte, which I have to say is one of my favourite latte flavours. In fact, it's the only flavour that I do in coffee, and it's a little depressing that that's actually what I fancy at the moment. We are only still in kind of early mid-September, but there we go. Hey ho! So I'll start with the scoring and then we'll go through the colours that we're going to use. There are quite a lot of colours in the designer series paper. It may feel like there aren't very many, but if we look at the back of the paper pack, we've got black, Cajun Craze, pumpkin pie and very vanilla. There is actually a bit of tangerine tango in some of the papers as well. It's sort of a shade hint rather than anything else. What of course I have just realised is that I've gone with the tangerine tango, which is fine. It's still going to work because I'm going to use this side. So let me grab my measurements. We have got a piece of designer series paper which is cut at 5.5 inches by 6 inches. Don't worry about dimensions. They are on the associated blog post as ever, linked below. And I will put the metric measurements on there as well. You will probably have to do the metric scoring on your trimmer rather than the scoreboard, because the scoreboard that I've got only got the imperial measurements, so I can't really work on metric on that, but I will give you those dimensions so that you can use them on your trimmer. So with the 5.5 inch piece at measurement at the top, all we're going to do is score at 1.5 inches and 4 inches, and then turn it, and it doesn't matter which way you turn it. If there's a direction, what we're now putting in is the bottom. So if there is a direction, so if I were using this side, I wouldn't have cut it that way, but I would have it so that the pattern is running. So you want the pattern to run up and down the narrower edge. So this is what I would call the wide. So if I was doing it in this pattern, I'd have the pumpkins that way. But I've got dots, so it doesn't matter. So I'm then going to score this at 3/8 of an inch. And that is all the scoring we have to do. So very easy. So, because this is paper, I'm not worrying too much about a bone folder. I just want the creases in. They don't have to be sharp, 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 like I would need them if it was card. So, grab my scissors, which are right in front of me, so I can't see them. I'm going to... Which way is easier for you to see? I've tried to get as much light on the scene as possible, given that it was about midnight, or felt like about midnight when I started thinking about filming, and it's actually the middle of the day. So we're going to make this into a flap. So all I'm going to do is just very narrow wedge in, just so that it doesn't stick out the edges, and then again very narrow wedge in to remove. So if I line this up on my grid paper, you can probably see that this is a very narrow wedge and this is a very narrow wedge. So I'm going to do that on both sides. And that's, as I say, just so that it's a wee bit neater than if you cut everything straight. And then all we're going to do is fold one side over the other. So they're actually about the same measurement, so it really doesn't matter which one goes over which. All I would say is that it's worth just making sure that when you do fold it, you are going to be able to get your sachet in, which I am, so that's fine. In fact, I'm going to fold it with the sachet in the paper so that I know I've got enough space. I'm going to use a bit of fast fuse. Actually, no, I'm not. Love it when a brain actually works. I prepped this in advance, so my brain has gone on through other things since then. So let's use tear and tape and just make sure that's well down. Peel the edge off. So pop the sachet so that we know it fits nicely in. Wrap it round and push that down. I can now take that out, and you can see it's a bit bellied, which is just what we want, so we know that it's going to fit our sachet. You could, if you wanted, just fold it round your sachet in rather than scoring it. I just think it's quite nice to have the sharp edge as your sort of starting point. Just peel that off, tuck the end in because I over placed my. Pop that down. I am actually just going to pop that back in so that I can seal the bottom properly. That's just sealed nicely. It's just nice to have something to push against. Pull that out, and then I am going to take my 1/2 inch circle punch and then just eyeball where the middle of my piece is. I'm pushing it right down so that it's right up against this edge, and then just punch. You are going through quite a few layers because you've got your overlap and your tape, so you do need to give it a bit of a proper squeeze. Then I have got some of the wonderful black shimmer ribbon. It comes in, I want to say powder pink. I think it's powder pink. Let me just, ooh, that's not my powder pink. That's got really out of order. That's my powder pink. Let's have a look. Yes, so it's the powder pink, Pear Pizzazz, Soft Sky or Pool Party, can't remember which, let's check, and black. And it's a very subtle shimmer, but it is beautiful. It's Pool Party. But it's a fairly forgiving Pool Party, so it would work with Soft Sky. This, I used the classic weave ribbon, but this time I'm going to use the shimmery black. And all you do is pop that straight through the middle of your hole, and then get your sachet, and so that your ends are reasonably even, you then just push that in. You've probably seen this done a number of times before. Just push it all the way in, and then you've got your, this would be your pull for the to get the whole thing out. Gosh, my brain really isn't working, is it? Don't know why, it just isn't. Probably because it's just not working. So I'm going to take some solid black baker's twine and just wrap that round once and once again. Oh, and I'm moving my grid paper all over the place. I need to get a new pad. I'm actually thinking of doing something slightly different. So we'll see whether that works or not. Anyway, I do need to get some more grid paper anyway, so just want to make sure that is reasonably even. And then I'm just going to pretend I've got 5 thumbs and no fingers. Who would think I'm at 11 minutes and all I've done is a bit of scoring and a bit of punching, and I haven't even done the stamping yet. This is ridiculous. I could bore for Britain. Right. Okay, so just doing a basic bow. I really haven't got fingers working today, have I? There we go. Basic bow, just to give it a bit of something. You could use a different colour. You could use the Very Vanilla rather than the black, but I just wanted to embrace the black. So that's the basic pouch. So what I'm now going to do is bring in some pumpkin pie, which I've clearly been using with cats, and this is the cup from the autumn winter version, so from the Merry Cafe. It's a sketchier version than the original, so this is a more solid version, and instead of the solid cup you've got the sketchy cup. These images are at 85%, these are at 100%, so they are actually the same size cup, it's just a different image. So Memento ink, and I don't know why I always use my Memento ink upside down, but I do, or tend to, certainly with the larger stamps, and I'm just going to stamp that down and back up, clean that off on my handy dandy stamping scrub. That's that nice and clean. Then I also want to stamp my lid, which actually this time I'm going to do it this way up. It's probably because it was a bigger stamp. So handy dandy lid. Except I've just realised I was going to do my handy dandy lid on Tangerine Tango. So we'll do my handy dandy lid again on Tangerine Tango, purely just to introduce a different colour, otherwise I think it might look a bit flat. Clean that. Then also on my Tangerine Tango, I'm just going to grab the die that I'm going to use and make sure that I have sufficient Tangerine Tango, which I do. Yep. So I am going to, or shall I? Actually, no. I'm going to do this in Very Vanilla. So, Very Vanilla, but with Tangerine Tango as my ink. I am going to ink up the Hello Fall, the pumpkin spice latte season. Now, if you wanted, you could use the stamp from the Coffee Cafe stamp set to do the outline of the heat trap thing. I'm not going to. I'm trying to keep within one stamp set. So because that hasn't got a belly, I'm just going to use this and we'll just trim it out, which will look fine. So that, I think, is all the stamping I need to do. So let's cut that down a bit. Let's cut that out so that it's a more sensible size to go through the big shot. And I will use the lid that I'm not using on another project. So I need to tidy my craft space. That will be a task for this weekend. So one of those, and the lid. And I will bring in my magnetic platform. I desperately need to clean my acrylic base. It's getting rather tatty, but it doesn't need to be replaced, it just needs to be scrubbed, which I do every now and again, and I just need to get my head around doing it. I just generally need to do a bit of tidying up. Let's just move that down a bit more. Now, the smaller images, you do have to be a little bit, I say images, the smaller dies, you do have to kind of let the die settle on the magnetic plate. Don't fight it, it will win. So yeah, let's get that in the middle and then run it through my big shot. I shall be back momentarily. So I hope you are enjoying the Autumn Winter catalogue. There really are some amazing products in there, so do make the most of it. Remember that there is the Merry Patterns promotion that I'm doing at the moment. So if you place an order on my online store, for every £25 you place in one order, you will get the chance to win the exclusive free Merry Patterns stamp set, which is gorgeous. Details of that are on my blog, so I won't go into that now. Right, okay, so let's put this together. I will use my favourite glue. So just a bit of the multi-purpose glue. So we've got the wiggle room. Line that up. Then I'm actually going to put the glue on the cup rather than on the lid, because there's only a very narrow overlap. So I want to make sure that I don't end up with glue absolutely everywhere where I don't need it. As it is, I've squished it out a bit. That's good. Right, so that's then going to go on there. On the original, I did have a shadow, so I had a soft sky shadow because I felt it was sinking too far into the designer series paper. This one doesn't need it because it's obviously very much more prominent, but let's get that all attached. I just used some dimensionals. And let's use some of these edge pieces because they work too. They're just as good as the bits in the middle, so don't throw them away. I think I've said before, I have on occasions had to go through bins after class and pick out the edges because people don't realise that they're just as good. I think they must think they're not sticky or something. Oop, that one doesn't want to come off. So, nearly done. Pop that on there. I might put it at a slightly jaunty angle. I'm then going to bring in I had very carefully popped to one side and now can't find, of course. Oh, there it is. One of the corrugated shapes, and I'll just pop that there, I think, for no other reason than that's where I want it to go. It's just to add a little bit of something something. And that is it. So this is the original and then the full version, and they both, you just pull and out comes your little sachet on both of them. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. As you probably have heard, if you've been watching me over the last few days, I'm hoping that by my birthday on the 1st of November, I might reach 2,000 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. The button is down in the bottom right-hand corner. I would love to hit my goal. It's only a little mini milestone, but it's still a milestone. So please, that would be great. I've also got a bit of a milestone going on my sales. I've got a target that I want to hit. So again, if you can help me out with that, that would be great. As far as sales are concerned, I can only take orders from the UK. But if you do feel you could support me, that would be lovely too. If you don't yet have an autumn winter catalogue, please let me know, either comment below or drop me an email. My contact details are on my website, and as I say, that's linked below. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you again very soon. Thanks a lot. Bye.